My name is Gail Littlefield. I'm a member of the Washington Grove Historic Preservation Commission, and I've lived here since 1995. Washington Grove started out in 1873, and it started out as a Methodist camp meeting. The first camp meeting here was on July 4th of 1873. So Washington Grove continued as a camp meeting for a number of years. Then the Depression hit and people stopped coming to Washington Grove. So it almost kind of died, and fortunately we had one resident family, the McCatherines, and Irv McCatherine decided that we should become a town, and we are still the smallest incorporated town in Maryland. And one of the things that the town did as part of its being a municipality was to have put up street signs. Those went up probably in late 1937 for the first time. And so they were replaced as needed, always made by volunteers. The whole town was a volunteer town. The signs that had been periodically replaced over time were eventually made by a town maintenance person named Jim Fletcher. He's the one who introduced the routed lettering and the flora and fauna paintings on the signs. He was an artist. And when he left, basically that particular expertise left with him.
When Jim Fletcher was no longer involved in the making of the signs, as I would walk around town, I would see that the signs were in terrible, terrible condition. A lot of them were falling apart. All the white lettering was gone. They were unreadable during the day, and they were really unreadable at night.
So several years ago, it was proposed that we go to metal signs, like the kind of standard metal signs you see everywhere with aluminum vinyl letters. And the way that this came to my attention first was the local women's club was having its annual auction, and I noticed that they were selling some of the old street signs, and I kind of freaked out and said, wait, these are part of our history, they're part of our landscape, and we should be saving them, we should be restoring them. And so that started the discussion that lasted for a year or so about what to do about the street signs. Understandably, there were a lot of people who were concerned about the cost of remaking wooden street signs if we had to have them done commercially. People were concerned that our street signs didn't have reflective lettering, and that we wanted to have more nighttime visibility for emergency vehicles and just for people finding where they were going. And then, people were also, on the other side, very concerned about not having this part of the historic and natural character of the town. Eventually, Susan Van Nostrand came forward and volunteered to see if we could actually replace and restore the street signs.
But that they wanted to get rid of the wooden signs. I felt really strongly that that would be a mistake in terms of the whole character of the town. One of the town meetings where they were talking about this, and we said, can't we look into ways to preserve these signs? It would be less expensive, we think. It would be prettier, and it would really maintain the character of the town. So I would say that most people wanted to go with the metal signs. They had come up with these prototypes where they had some artwork which was stenciled on the signs. And they didn't look quite as bad as I thought they were going to look, but they still weren't as good as the wooden signs. So we got permission to have a few of the signs taken down and to work on them and to show them the sort of the before and after. There was a town art show of Jim Fletcher's, and I had a table out in front of the art show where I had all these before and after pictures and the signs, and everyone said, oh, well, these are new signs, brand new. I was like, no, these are the restored signs. So I think everyone was really pleased with how they looked. It takes a tremendous amount of work to restore and a time to restore one of these signs. We looked into commercial routing of the letters. We found people who could do that at a reasonable price, but then somebody in town said, I can do that. I knew that there were 4 or 5 artists in town who were willing to put new artwork on, and frankly, the rest of it just takes effort.
I'm Lee Partington, and I am one of the many illustrators of the signs. I think right now I've done about 30 or 31, so that's just out of, 100 and something. There's many people here involved. It's amazing, all kinds of work.
So we had to figure out a method, and then pretty much anybody could do any step. There were some people who weren't so good with painting inside the lines, but they could clean. We had other people who could sand. So we found people who liked each part of the process. Originally, my vision was that we would get 20 people together for 4 or 5 weekends, take a bunch of signs down, and then it would all be done. Turns out it was a lot more complicated than that, because after each step there's drying time. And so you can't just get a sign done it might take 6 hours to do one sign, but you can't do it in 6 hours. It has to be spread over time. Most of the work was done at my kitchen table. Actually, it was a lot of fun, and now that most of the work is done, I will miss always having a little crafty project to work on.